Hey, hey, we are back, everyone. I'm John,
And I'm Barbara.
and we are without Alton today, but that's okay. He'll be back soon, and we'll have even more fun, won't we?
Yeah. So we had word. Is he still like safely hunting, or has there been a helicopter yet?
Uh, he ended up responding to a Facebook post today, so I think he's okay.
Okay. Proof of life. All right.
Proof of life. There's no word from his wife, so unsure about her safety and everything. But hey, whatever.
That's all good things. Okay. Cool.
So, today we are going to hit the topic of the 25th Amendment and should we actually invoke it? So, that's going to be the topic of the conversation today. So much has been going on in the news, so plenty to talk about when it comes to it. So,
Yeah.
you think you can
Kind of love
handle
that we're
this?
doing this today. I kind of love that. I was just reading about Biden's speech today, and the Soviet Union worked so well the first time. Why would we not do it again? Yeah.
But you're gonna
No.
have to calm yourself down because we've got to save some of it in regards to the mandates for next
Oh,
week
good
when
point.
Alton's actually
Oh,
back. So,
good point. All right.
uh, and I'm gonna try to play liberal on this conversation, but we'll see how that works out. So,
You totally drew the short straw. Okay. And
all
off
right,
we
guys.
go. Let's do
Yep.
it.
Stay tuned because this is the Deciding Factor podcast.
Everyday life issues broken down to help you build your own opinions on the issues that matter most. Coming to you from Austin, Texas, this is The Deciding Factor with your host, Alton Hill and John Herzog.
All right, guys. So let's start out, Barb, before you go crazy and try to control yourself because there's so much to cover here.
This is reined in Barb. This is like mellow Barb. This is like Barb on yoga. Kind of so
Oh,
calm.
yeah, I'm sure you're so calm at this point. Um, so the question is right now, what exactly is the 25th Amendment? Because I'm sure there's a whole bunch of kids watching right now and they have no clue.
Yeah, kids, go back to school. Stop doing drugs. Go to school. Okay, 25th Amendment. Um, Proposed by Congress. This was ratified by the states in the aftermath of the assassination of JFK. Okay, this basically it provides procedures for replacing the president or the vice president in the event of death, removal, resignation, or incapacitation. Okay, so it could be a death, but it doesn't have to be a death. It could just be a procedure for how to replace the president if he is no longer able to execute the duties of his office. That's the gist. That's the Cliff Notes version of it.
Gotcha. So I always thought back in the day that if you invoked the 25th Amendment, it had to be because, he was either dead or mentally checked out in some form, right? But it sounds like
Yes.
when you read through it, it's like they can kind of just pull the trigger for whatever reason they want.
Not for whatever reason. It really does need to be pretty specific. I mean, like Watergate scandal, okay? That was the first time that we saw the application of these procedures. So it can't just be that we don't like his policies. It's not good enough for a Republican to say, well, you're a Democrat. I'm calling the 25th. It really does have to be, he has to be pretty obviously incapable of doing his job. So when we were talking about this before
Well,
the
not
podcast,
totally true because if you look at
dead seems
subsection
pretty obvious.
yeah,
I'm just,
the but if you look at like what is it subsection 4, it actually gives a layout to where it's like the vice president and the chamber can overrule them and basically put them out of office. The 25th. If that doesn't work, then Congress, I think it's 2/3 is what it says. 2/3 Congress can overrule and kick him out of office.
but it doesn't just say, it still has to be 2/3 of the vote uh, determine that the president is unable to do his job. It can't be
Unable
and
to
even
do
then-
his job is pretty broad.
well, okay, but if we take the policies out of it, so you and I were talking before, and I think it's like I think it's fairly easy to look and say Biden has done very little good. You can say he's done a lot of bad, but I think that the 25th, invoking the 25th, it's separate from party politics. And I would say one of the protections built in is that within the 25th Amendment, it is written in that this is as temporary as it can be. Like there are limits to this, unless he's dead. He doesn't get to come back if he's dead.
He doesn't have a say in that, huh?
No, and doesn't know so much. But this is something that I guess what I was picturing when I read it is like if he has a stroke, okay, and he's not able to speak, he's not able
But
to.
the
idea is
wording's too broad.
You reevaluate in 21 days. Like I don't think it's perfect, but I think there are a lot of checks and balances built into this.
Yeah. So the way it's written, it's just too broad for me. It makes me worry that, I could have Congress that all of a sudden is like, we're tired of him. Let's invoke the 25th. Yes, I believe it's 2/3 of Congress would have to overrule, which means you'd have to at least have some of the other party at that situation. But even then, I mean, while Trump was in office, if the vice president and his cabinet decided that they were tired of his tweets, they could have removed him from office and said that he was not able to do his duties anymore.
See, I think that that's a great example, though, because during Trump's entire presidency, the powers that be were fulminating to get him out of office. So if it was that easy to invoke the 25th, they would have done it. And they didn't. I think what was
but they wouldn't have had
with,
the 2/3, right? Congress,
but I mean,
they didn't
I'm
have
saying,
2/3, and their cabinet, I think it's the overwhelming majority has to, or they
but I'm
all.
saying they didn't even try, because with Trump, you couldn't look at it and say, wow, he can't do his job. You could say, I hate how he's doing his job. You could say, I disagree with how he's choosing to do it. But he's very obviously, I mean, the fact that the man could tweet at all hours was evidence that he was able to communicate, that he was making decisions. That came down to, do we disagree with the decisions? Which I think is why they tried. How many times did they try to impeach him? I mean, it just got to be like a joke. But I think that the 25th Amendment, I'd be more nervous, honestly, if it was more narrow. Like if it was extremely narrow, I think I would feel less protected as a citizen.
Right.
Because then it's incredibly hard to pull off, even if it needs to be.
Well, I mean, it's going to be political suicide if you were one of the cabinets, right? So if you did that and you just didn't agree with him, I mean, you're going to have an uproar of people.
I think there's a lot of protections in this. So to me, looking at this, when we were talking about is it time, and it's funny that we're talking about this today because it's just you almost want to be like, give us a moment to pretend that you're mentally capable. Like if we want John to play liberal today, like give him a chance to stand up for you. He's gone on record again today. He's mandating vaccines all over the place. Stuff that I just think, you're kidding me, right?
Yeah.
But let's pretend that we had this conversation even a week ago. Can we look back? My argument today is going to be that I think it's time, apart from his policies. I think his policies are horrific. I'm more concerned that I think he's demonstrating advancing dementia in a way that makes me quite uncomfortable. But I'm ready to hear you. I'm ready to hear the arguments against that. So.
All right. Well, let's start first by saying that we are live on YouTube. So if you're watching us live, you can chat with us. We can see those, and we may even respond to them. So make sure you give us your input. Tell Barb how wrong she is throughout this whole process, please.
Or how great my lipstick is today. Can I just say? I think my lipstick's on point today. Whatever you want to comment.
I think they'll be distracted by all the tattoos you're showing, but that's just my thoughts,
Okay, yeah, all right.
But also make sure you check out us on YouTube. Make sure you click that like button, the subscribe, and then also that notification. That way you get notified if we do something crazy like go live, right?
Yeah, wouldn't want to miss that.
So let's start out with, I want to backtrack to the beginning of the Biden era, right? So
Once upon a time.
once upon a time, he was going against this guy named Trump, and he had many speech issues. He had forgetfulness and everything. We apparently still put him in office. Yeah, there's some that would argue that the votes weren't accurate, but whatever. He's in
But yeah,
office.
let's just say for the sake of our argument today, let's suppose that the election was legit, no matter what you think,
Right.
we're here now,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
So he had these issues before going in, correct?
Mhm.
So
Yes.
he's in office. We elected him. Why would we all of a sudden hold this against him? Also,
So,
I want to add that apparently he is dyslexic, ADD, something like that, right? So his slurring or forgetting his speeches or not being able to read correctly on the teleprompter is all a part of his disability. So can you really hold it against him?
yes. Yes.
No,
I'm sorry.
but
yes.
why? Why?
Because, well, okay. Let's talk the dyslexia thing. First of all, dyslexia, and anybody jump into the chat, correct me here, but dyslexia does not invert words that you hear. And he's very obviously had someone telling him what to say. I mean, he does this whole like pause and listen to his earpiece all the time. So I think I get the whole difficulty with teleprompters. Although, according to him, he's been in Congress for 180 years. That's a lot of practice to read a teleprompter. That would be one of his comments early on. Was 180 years. Yeah, to me, I think, all right, you want to call it dyslexia. My husband has ADD, and I'm sorry, he doesn't do that. You can fumble over speech. I don't think it's a decent excuse. And if you knew it going in, then somebody obviously thought that it was not going to hinder him doing his job. So personally, I'm not looking at this as, he trips up over his speech. You and I trip up over our speech. We're going to this hour, right? Every president we've had. Yeah, everybody does, right? Like, to me, this is not about fumbles and like, I think there was an example that I heard where he slurred something, severance becomes sleverance. I can't remember what it was. Like, okay, that happens. To me, that's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking at his inability to maintain a train of thought, right? So to be on the one hand saying, okay, get out the vote and I want you to click here and follow, and then all of a sudden in the middle of nowhere, he's just like 20 years, and everyone kind of crickets it. But he doesn't know why he said it either, and so he can't get back. It's things like that I look at, and it gives me pause.
Okay.
That he can't keep a train of thought like that. That's concerning to me.
Fair enough. I still don't. I think we knew ahead of time, but
You don't think it's gotten worse?
maybe slightly, right? I honestly think he's been pretty bad throughout the whole time, but whatever.
Yeah, I think it's been bad the whole time. I think whoever it was that was propping him up for this whole election shame on him. It's shameful that he was put through an election, quite frankly. Every time that I hear him talk, I'm torn between, wow, this man wants to destroy the free world, and this feels like elder abuse. He just does not seem to know what's going on around him, and that's kind of sick to me.
Maybe. My
Put
biggest
him in that spot.
My biggest thing is we've seen a lot of him lately where he keeps talking about somebody is telling him that he shouldn't take any questions, that it's time for him to just walk away, right? You've seen that? You haven't? Are you kidding me?
I've seen clips of it. I have a hard time stomaching the entirety of his speeches. I did some studying for this podcast, made myself watch. That was painful, man.
No, but okay, so a lot of the times, Trump, when he was in office, would talk to anyone and everyone virtually nonstop.
Yeah.
And some would say that was the problem, is he wouldn't
Right.
shut up, right?
Dude, make it stop. Yeah.
Stop taking questions. But now it's like we can't even get but 2 questions maybe.
Yeah.
And it's only whatever the other topic is he doesn't want to talk about. So if we're talking about vaccines, he won't talk about Afghanistan. If he talks about Afghanistan, it's like, oh, let's take one question and then run.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I want to ask about, since you're playing liberal today, if we track back through his presidency thus far, we've had some major things. We've had some, I don't know, would you call them crisis events? We've got the situation at the border. We've got the ongoing COVID thing. Afghanistan is probably the thing that pushed me to the brink of like, okay, this is not funny anymore. You're killing people, you know?
Yeah. I mean, okay, so when we look at the Afghanistan thing, we'll take that one because there's so much that's been going on, right?
There's so much, right? There's so much.
So we look at the Afghanistan thing, right? And is it Michael Moore? Is that the guy? I can
Yes.
never remember this fool's name.
Beautiful man.
In his statement, it was, oh, I'm so glad Biden's in office. This would have been bad if it was the other orange guy, right? But his thing was, yes, we finally got out of there. We ended a 20-year war. Thank God. Okay. We've completed that, right? We finally got out of a war that 4 presidents have been trying to get out of. And now we're finally out. But all they're looking at is the end result. Nothing else matters.
Right.
So, can you really invoke the 25th when it looks like that?
Well, let's look at how he did it.
Okay, I can't
was-
play liberal. I can't play liberal.
It's
I'm
hard,
so
right?
sorry. It was a
It's stinking
bullshit move on how they got out of Afghanistan.
Yeah.
I mean,
That to me, you got 2 choices there. He's either mentally incompetent or he's the devil. I'm sorry. It's one of, maybe he's both. Maybe he's a mentally incompetent devil. But I look at that and the way it was done, and I honestly, I don't even think it matters what you thought about us getting into Afghanistan. I mean, I've heard lots of different opinions. You don't have to have agreed with us being there to agree that this was the wrong way to pull out, because so many people have been hurt by this, right? We've got
Yeah.
soldiers dying. You've got all these, interpreters that he completely underestimated how fast the Taliban would take over.
a whole
And-
country is affected.
Yes.
This is
And beyond that,
And
you've got
other
our allies
countries.
that are,
Yeah.
So you think this is a global catastrophe, okay? The way he did this, and it's going to have ramifications that go way past just us. So I look at that, and I guess part of me wants to almost feels compassionate at this point and think, you are hurting yourself and other people. You cannot do this job. Now, if I'm just talking politics, it's horrifying to me to think of Kamala Harris being president. But I think that I think I have to put my policy opinions aside and just say, this person as a man, he is not able to string together coherent sentences, and he's playing with live ammunition at this point. So I don't feel like it is safe to leave him in office.
I can kind of understand that. But what, once again, we go to the politics. A lot of people put this guy in office. Is it
Maybe.
really a shock that he would do what he did?
No, they should have known that they were putting someone with dementia in office. And yeah, that's a problem.
He's always been against the war, right?
Plenty of people have been against the war that don't do what he did.
What about his argument to say that, Trump had already put it in motion that he was going to be getting out, right? Trump tried to get out once before. He said he was going to do it, never ended up fully getting out. So what's your argument on that? Because, I mean, ultimately, Biden did get us out of the war, despite the melee.
I think if you don't care how many lives are lost, then you can solve a lot of problems just by quitting, right? Just gonna walk away. But I think that I think there's a reason that it's taken a lot to get out. I think that I can't tell if you just underestimated the Taliban or if it's something more sinister than that. Honestly, I don't know. It's hard for me to fathom someone being that airheaded.
One of the trickier moments in regards to this war and how we got out is I wonder how much has it damaged our allies, right? Because
who would
Britain,
trust America
Germany,
right now?
they had people there.
Yeah.
And Biden's just like, all right, let's go.
And
he didn't get the people out first, and he's constantly come up with more and more excuses. I think the thing that gets me with when you're talking about the dementia and all that is that in the end, when he's saying we're out, right? He says, I got us out the safest, best way. We accomplished everything in the timeline that we were given. I wouldn't have done anything different. Like, we did the best job possible. That's the part where I'm like, who thinks this?
Yeah.
Like,
this is what I'm
how
saying.
is this the best way? I just feel like we're getting lied to in too many forms, in too many ways. I mean, come on.
Yeah. It's delusional.
Right.
And that's where it's like, you're either willfully delusional, like you said, like we're either just being shamelessly, blatantly lied to, which we obviously are on a lot of fronts, but I can't tell if we're being blatantly lied to because someone is trying so hard to prop up this president. Like, no, really, if I pull the skin back here, it makes his mouth move. Like, I can't tell, honestly. I just know that the end result is this is delusional. It's insane to look at this and say, oh yeah, this was the best possible way. It's great. Everybody got what we wanted. They got what they wanted. It's great. Yeah, I have no idea why anyone would trust us as an ally right now.
What about all the forgetfulness and or just straight up lies, right? I mean, in regards to the Afghanistan thing, he talked to the president of Afghanistan before leaving, saying that we all know what's going on, and then he still pulls out.
Yeah.
And then he acts later on like nothing ever happened, that no one ever saw it coming, but now we're finding out that he knew all along. So is it lying, or is it just forgetfulness, dementia, whatever you want to call it today?
Right. Forgetfulness or corruption. I don't know. I mean, if we use the 25th Amendment on Nixon, maybe it doesn't matter. Maybe it doesn't matter if it's dementia or evil.
I thought he resigned.
Either way.
Did they actually invoke the 25th?
You know what? I guess actually, you're right.
I know.
It was used as a procedure, like how to replace him. You're right. No, he did resign. It was the replacement.
Okay.
The 25th was used. I don't know. I guess part of me is wondering how much more damage needs to be done before at least it gets looked at. Can we the people request that our representatives
I mean, we put them in office. I don't know. We can't do it like Governor Newsom. Is that what his name is?
Yeah, the California governor.
Oh my gosh.
Can't recall him.
Yeah, I don't think we can do that for the president. We would just end up with second in command. But
not prettier. But.
So that being said, let's jump into the next crisis, which was the border. You know, I don't think he ever fully addressed that in any form. In fact, he passed it on to Kamala Harris. And that in itself was kind of a joke because it took forever before she finally even came down to visit.
Yeah.
But nothing else was pretty much done. So
It's pretty comical that they kept the exact same policies that they just railed against Trump for having.
yeah,
I think, yeah, kids in cages are evil if Trump is president, but it's okay.
but they left
Biden.
them.
Yeah.
Yeah, they left the cages up. In fact, things got worse because you had more people run in.
Yeah.
My bigger thing is if we invoke the 25th on Joe, you get this person that hasn't been around. She didn't do anything for the crisis at the border, right? She's been non-existent there. She had the one meeting down there. I think it was South Texas. She showed up there one day, and that was it.
Yeah.
You know, she's not really talked about it. She hasn't been around. She's just been gone.
So let me make this clear. I am in favor at this moment, anyway. I'm waiting for someone to change my mind. Go ahead, John. I'm in favor of invoking the 25th, not because I think Kamala Harris is a better option. I don't think she is. But I also don't think that that's why I'm talking 25th. I think that you've got a mental capacity issue with President Biden. And yes, I think she seems like a disaster to have as president. But that is our option, right? I think I hold out some hope in just that I think that she is still a rational, a sentient human being. I think that she is mentally capable of having a conversation. And that doesn't mean that she'll do the right thing. That doesn't mean that she will suddenly become a great president, but it means that she can be reasoned with. She can be argued with, even if she always wins, even if it doesn't change anything. I think what's unnerving to me about watching President Biden is I have no sense that he has the mental capacity to carry on a conversation, much less to reason with someone, to tell us why he's doing what he's doing. I mean, it sort of feels like it has to be some sort of advisor or someone that's making the decisions for him.
But let me ask you this: with her being gone, what do you think is the cause of it? Is it her that's trying to stay clear of him, or is it his team saying she's proven to be no help and we view her as more of a liability? Because I'll give you a couple scenarios, right? They both hated each other during the election process. In fact, she sucked and no one really wanted her around, but they used her for the black vote, right?
Yeah.
And
female.
And so now it's like, does she feel like maybe I got used and I'm not doing anything? Like, what do you think is going on in the Kamala Harris realm of things when it comes to her being gone?
I think I was doing so good keeping my tinfoil hat off screen, and you're baiting me. Doggone it, John. Okay. What do I think?
Take the gloves off. Let's just do this. Jump in.
Okay. I don't think that President Biden is coherent enough to have a plan. Okay. So if I look at like, what is the strategy? You're talking somebody else has got to be strategizing this. I don't think that the Democratic Party ever planned on Joe Biden surviving his first term. I just don't. He's been mentally weak from the get-go. Okay. So I think that I could talk myself into two different options for why I think Kamala Harris is so far off the screen. I could see on the one hand, maybe if she distances herself from the madness that is Joe Biden, then she's going to look pretty good when she does get her turn, which I expect.
Do you think she'll really be reelected? I mean, does she stand a chance? Because
no, I think this is happening in the first term.
Yeah, I understand that. But like, is she distancing herself so that maybe later on she can get re-elected? Because she's got to at some point realize that no one wants her.
Yeah, but see, I don't think it matters. Didn't the last election prove that? I mean, not even people who voted for Joe Biden liked Joe Biden. They just hated Trump. So I don't think she needs to.
But what do they feel like now?
Right? I've wondered that.
So
if you are a listener who voted for Biden, please, I'm begging you, come on the air and tell me what you were thinking and what you're thinking now, because I feel sick on your behalf if you chose this on purpose.
I
Like,
don't
if
know.
you just
I
thought
don't
he
think
was
anybody has the guts to come on
great.
our show and
I'll
and
be
give
nice.
us that liberal. Oh, I'm sure you would.
I'll put the gloves on. They'll just sit there in my pockets. It'll be fine. No, but I am curious. So why do I think there's all this distance? I think that Joe Biden has always been a puppet. I don't even think it matters whether you're near him or not. I don't think he was ever intended to survive his first term.
Yeah.
There you go. Shine up my hat. So yeah, do I think I'm sure that the distance is go ahead and let him implode himself, and whether he dies in office or gets 25th or whatever else happens, like, I think that she's primed and ready to start her own thing.
So there were a few things that hit the news today that I kind of want to bring up just to see your reaction and thought. Did you know that apparently the Biden administration is claiming that a lot of the increase in like food prices and things like that are of the norm, except for, and what was it? Except for milk and meat, and then there was something else. So it was like everything else is normal. It's a normal increase in the percentage.
I know that you're not big into reading, but I'm just gonna. You need to read George Orwell, 1984. We've always been at war with East Asia. This is, yeah. I'm politely not saying anything.
Hey,
That's fascinating. How about that 25th Amendment?
hey, and don't forget, Biden said that he was going to unite all of us. And I think he has.
We all seem to hate him. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he
United.
has fully united a lot of us, I think, at this point, right?
You know what's funnier to me is that I don't actually think we are. That's what's crazy to me. Even if people voted for Biden and don't love what they got, they will not speak out against him. And I'm fascinated by that. We've got, I know we're not talking vaccinations today, we get its own day, but he said some things today on the vaccination front, right?
Yeah.
And I think, okay, there are enough people that are still afraid of COVID or Delta or Mu or whatever it is that we're on now. Who the heck cares? That they will not, they might not like Biden, but his totalitarian inclinations, they suit the general fear, right? And so I am astounded at how many people are not opposed to President Biden, and they're not opposed to his massive overreach that's happening with the state. I think that fear, I think that was very creatively done in the days leading up to the election, is to have the population so generally terrified that Joe Biden can actually sound like a good idea. That's intense, man. That's a lot of fear.
But that was a good plug. We are going to get into the mandates next week when Alton returns.
Tune in next time.
Yes. So we will go over all the mandates. There was a mandate that's supposed to be coming out in the next, actually he might be speaking as we are right now. So we're going to have to go over that. There was mask mandates in a lot of these schools. Our personal experiences we're going to have to share with you because I'm going to kind of give it away. My wife tore into our school board, and I'm going to share that story with you next week.
Tell me you videoed it. I want to see.
I do have a video of it. I'm not sure if I sent it to you yet, but
I want this.
it was good. It was really good. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked here. So
Okay, I'm a little excited. That's a good tease. I'm going to tune in next week just to hear about this. So.
you just be a guest tuning in on YouTube and chat with us that way.
That was totally wicked. Yeah.
Oh man, you're nothing but trouble. Okay, so let's
Get that a lot.
Did you want to cover anything else before I push my button?
No, go ahead. We're good. See,
you sure?
I did not accidentally give away my deciding factor. But
No, you did,
totally
like 3 minutes
Feel
into
like
it.
at the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah, you were like,
Never mind. Off we go.
Okay, maybe my opinion will change you otherwise.
Will John stay liberal or will he go back to common sense? Stay tuned to the deciding factor.
It's time for our deciding factor.
Okay. What to do here? I still think it's too broad. And that part really scares me when it comes to the 25th Amendment. I think it could be used as a weapon, if not this term, in the near future. And I'm worried about that. If we look at his mental state, yes, your argument about is he getting worse? Man, that's borderline, right? I think he's just as dumb as he was in the beginning. So, personally, we voted him in that way. It's kind of your fault. So deal with it, right? I also don't like the next two options, which are Harris and then Pelosi. I don't know that I want either of them taking office. And then on top of that, you got to think, if Harris hits the office,
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought at first that you were bleeping out swearing or something. It's now making all sorts of crazy sounds every time. Now stop swearing. Funny, whenever right here. I'm gonna take this as my cue. This must be my turn for the deciding factor. So, okay, we'll come back to you. Sorry. This is now the intern show. Oh, intern thing. Intern thing. Okay, I think that what John was status has changed, whether it has worsened. I think you have convinced me on one thing. I think before we actually invoke the 25th Amendment, I'd like him to be examined. I want there to be not an impeachment, I would like there to be some investigation, because I wonder if part of why he's being so hidden from press conferences, from cameras, from conversations, is because he is not mentally capable of carrying a conversation. That to me is worth the investigation. And if that investigation showed what I think it probably will, then I think 25th is appropriate. The fact that it feels too broad, I don't think is a reason not to use it, because it's on the books. If you want to change something about the amendment, write your congressman. But this is on the books right now. I think this is the kind of situation that it's appropriate to use it. At the point that we've got American soldiers giving their lives simply because he is an idiot. That to me is where, okay, we can talk about this now. Because this isn't just, it's not just that I disagree. It's not just that I think he's destroying America. Those might all be true. But we're actually talking people that they give up, they do this for a living. They protect us for a living. This is their lives, right? Sorry, John, you're still voiceless. Are you not agreeing with me yet?
Huh?
There you are.
Am I here?
I must have converted you. Go ahead.
Woohoo! That's weird. It was showing that it was talking all over here on the side, and
You're very quiet now.
am I? Yeah,
Yes.
I honestly don't know what happened. I started talking about Kamala Harris, and then everything went away.
You know what that is? It's probably YouTube. YouTube's probably actively censoring us while we're doing this.
They're like, enough is enough. We're muting him.
Yeah.
So the powers took me off. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I can't even hear myself in here. So I don't know what really took place. Am I getting better at all?
No.
Dang. Okay. Well.
It doesn't sound like cymbals and explosions anymore. And that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, I really don't. what I was trying to say is, if Kamala Harris hit office, all we're going to hear about is that she's the first woman president, and that's it. Nothing else will matter. Nothing else will probably get done. Things will not be better.
But I don't think that's why we do it. And that's my point. I don't think we do the 25th Amendment as a political save. Because then you're right. If it could be used that way, then it shouldn't be. That's very dangerous. But I don't have any illusions that it would get better, because you're right. The next two options are disastrous. I just don't think that he's mentally able to do the job.
Yeah, I would say I kind of like your idea, right? If we find out that he's been given all this information to make good decisions and he's not making any of them good and trying to do his job correctly, you're out.
Yeah.
Right? If
Or that someone
somebody's
else is
telling
making-
you in your ear how
Yeah.
to answer everything,
Yep.
that's a problem. Try to tell Trump to answer a certain way. See what happens, right?
I think they tried.
Yeah, I think they're tone it down, tone it down. What? You want me to get louder and crazier? Okay, let's do this. But if he's not really making the choices, this is not okay.
Yeah.
Because then no one is in office that was elected.
This is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So if any of you can't hear John, yeah. Well, bummer, because he was brilliant just now. It's brilliant. Yeah, I agree. So it sounds like the word of the day is not so much invoke, but investigate.
Yes. All right. Well, we're still split, so I just don't, Well, I guess we're kind of on the same agreement when it comes to do it already. That's what Thor says. He wants them gone. He wants Biden out of office with the 25th. So,
We have really
funny,
smart listeners. I don't know
Yeah,
if I've ever
yeah. He
pointed
put
that
it
out.
in all caps too, so he's not hesitating. He's
See?
ready to go. Appreciate it, Thor. And it's not the guy with the hammer.
It might be.
Well, maybe
Sounds
it
like
could
something
be.
you'd say.
Yeah. So I guess with that being said, I want to take this time because I know the world is still in shambles. COVID has really screwed a lot of things up, and you could probably say it's our leadership that's really screwed it. But a lot of the stores out there, mom and pops, and even some of the bigger ones, Subway, Taco Bell, there are several around here that are struggling to even stay open a full 8 hours. And I'm not trying to convince you to be a big Taco Bell fan, but these
Save Taco Bell.
these big companies go away, that could be really problematic for a lot of jobs.
Or it will be brilliant. And tune in next week to hear why. But if President Biden's mandates today about companies with more than 140 employees, is that what it was?
Yes.
Yeah, it could be 100. Okay. Could be that it's time to shop small for real.
Yeah. It'll also be the question of whether you should get a different job. Oh, man.
We're
Too
going to
much
have
to
so
talk
much
about.
fun.
Yes,
oh my
that's
goodness.
going to be crazy.
Okay.
But make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you click that subscribe button because you will miss a lot if you don't do that. And then on top of that, you'll get to hear these fantastic little click sounds and everything that I don't get to hear now because
Boop, boop.
everything's broke.
Yeah. I don't have an actual mouse like Elton does, so it doesn't sound the same.
Yeah. All right, Barb. Well, it's good seeing you. I'm sure next time will be even better. But
Because Elton will be back.
I know, right?
We'll have a moderator.
It still has me caught from that last show we did and how he actually went to the other side than what we thought he would.
No kidding. You used to be the moderator, but now you're just so far left. It's hard to, can't even.
Whatever. All right, guys. We will see y'all next time on the Deciding Factor podcast. Barb, say bye.
Bye.
This has been another episode of The Deciding Factor, giving you food for thought on real life issues. Be sure to click, like, and subscribe to this podcast, as well as all your big social media outlets, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. Don't forget to check out our website at thedecidingfactorpodcast.com and give us comments and feedback. Until next time, stay safe and remember to keep an open mind.